Hey everyone, how's it going? Welcome back to another video. So now that we have finished episode 4, we can start to look forward to episode 8 and what they're having planned here. I mean, based off of what happens in 4 anyways, it seems like a lot of things are set in motion for the big event that will happen in episode 8. And when you're reading the synopsis for episode 7 and 8, it all kind of makes a lot of sense now, especially with the ending episode 4. And also in episode 5, the trailer hints at something that I believe is going to be a useful tactic that Maggie and Negan will use, or Negan's going to introduce it to Maggie, and then Maggie's going to use on the Reapers, and I think that's why episode 8, titled For Blood, is going to be a bloodbath of an episode. I really think it's going to be a very intense episode, and when you're looking at all 24 episodes, I think that's going to be the one where when you watch it, it was just an insane bloodbath. So many characters died, so much blood, so much death, and I think that's going to be the episode of the season, because obviously later on, like, you can't do a lot of that when you're getting towards the end. Like, you can, but you can't, right? If you want to get into some really dark Walking Dead stuff, if you just want to deliver that for the show because it's the last season, I think now is the time to do it, and I do think it's going to happen in that episode. It makes a lot of sense. I mean, look at the title, right? But before we go any further, obviously, I do have to warn you for spoilers for episode 4. And that's basically it for the most part. And I also wanted to mention that I do have Discord now. The link for that is down below. There's a lot of discussions on stuff with The Walking Dead, and it's a lot of fun, honestly. It's a lot of fun talking with you guys on there. So yeah, make sure to go follow me there. I also, I updated my Twitch. I'm going to be streaming on there as well. I updated the description down below. So if you're interested in following me wherever, yeah, all that's in the description down below. But let's talk about this here. So first, I think we should read the synopsis here. Actually, let's go into the synopsis for episode 8. I want to get into this one first, and then we'll go back into 7, and then we'll talk about episode 5 because it paints a better picture there. So, episode 8, titled For Blood, airing October 10th, 2021. The Reapers defend Meridian from an incoming herd. Pope suspects Maggie is behind the attack while Daryl treads carefully. Alexandrians scramble to protect themselves when a violent storm leaves them vulnerable to walkers. So, for the Alexandria part, we're going to ignore that for now because there's a lot of really cool things that can happen there, and it seems like they're setting up a lot of that stuff. But for now, I want to focus on the Reaper aspect to it because, like it says, the Reapers defend Meridian from an incoming herd, which means that there's a lot of walkers coming to the Meridian. Pope suspects that Maggie is behind the attack, and while Daryl treads carefully. Now, obviously, we know that Daryl joined the Reapers here, and Pope really believes that Daryl is someone that is, going to be a true Reaper, going to be a true family member, and obviously Daryl's going to have to prove his worthiness, I guess, or his dedication to the group. He's going to have to do some pretty messed up things, and I'm actually wondering, because Frost is there, I don't think Frost died in episode 4, I wonder if it's going to be to kill Frost, and I'd feel like Daryl might just go and do it, because why not, right? He doesn't want to die in this situation, right? So obviously I think it makes sense to kill Frost, right? That could be what he does when it says that Pope has to, he tests Daryl's loyalty and stuff. So that could make some sense here. But it says Pope suspects Maggie is behind the attack. So they know the walkers are coming towards the Meridian. And so they're all kind of freaking out. And so when you think of this incoming herd, why is this herd coming at Alexandria? Why does it make sense that this herd, or not Alexandria, why is this herd coming to the Meridian? Well, if you go to the episode 7 synopsis, it says that Maggie and Elijah learn a new survival tactic from Negan. And then you go into everything else here, but we'll ignore all that because this part here is what I really want to focus on. The new survival tactic that they learned from Negan is the walker mask thing, right? Like the whisperer mask, basically. They put on that walker mask, they can walk through a horde and basically guide the horde, right? And I like this. I like the fact that they're going to be using this to their advantage, right? Because it's something new that they learned through the Whisperer arc. Because otherwise, you're going to have people, like many fans, pointing out, like, well, why don't you just use that survival technique? And I've seen people say that again. So if they do use it again, then and I've seen people say that. So if they do actually use that technique here, then that's completely dealt with, right? That is, so I believe that's what's happening here in 7. But I do think that in episode 5, they're going to find some masks. And I think that's why in the trailer for episode 5, we do see that they find masks there. So that's kind of what I'm picturing right here, is that in episode 5, they're going to work some stuff out, the stuff between Maggie and Negan. I think they're going to come across Elijah in episode 5, and then they're going to find the mask. They might come across the Horde. We'll have to wait and see. But I think in 7, if they haven't came across the Horde yet, they're going to here. They're going to be outside the Meridian, and I think that's where they're going to learn that walker technique, and they're going to lure all of that herd to the Meridian. It's going to end in a cliffhanger that sets up episode 8, which is like this big attack on the Meridian. And then Daryl's there, Maggie and Negan, Elijah are outside. Gabriel could be around, Eldon could be around, unless they died by this point. I'm not too sure what's going to happen with those two characters, but I think that's how this is all going to be set up. You know, in that sense, we already have this clear path right now. Like, where episode 4 ends, like, Daryl's going to be at the Meridian now until episode 8, until he can leave there and then come back home to Alexandria. So that's what's going to happen here. We also have Maggie and Negan traveling there, and so that is going to wrap up here in episode 8, 7, 8, around there. And then when you go back to the synopsis here, and it says that our Alexandrians scramble to protect themselves when a violent storm leaves them vulnerable to walkers. And so that's just going to be more of like the spirit of Alexandria trying to fight for this place. There's going to be so many walkers everywhere. It's going to be really insane. It might feel like No Way Out times a billion, right? And they're trying to protect this place. It's going to be a bloodbath. I mean, the episode is titled For Blood. It's going to be insane. You're going to have this crazy scene here happening in Alexandria. It's going to be very dark, lightning and thunder. Walkers are going to be everywhere. It might start fires. Alexandria is going to be completely torn down. You're going to have a lot of deaths. They're going to be killing so many walkers. There's going to be blood everywhere. At the Reaper base, you're dealing with all of that, all the walkers there. You have, there could be a lot of deaths there. And then at the end, when they actually defeat the Reapers, come back to Alexandria, at that moment there, that's when, when they come back, they're all going to react to seeing the walkers everywhere, seeing Alexandria completely destroyed. And I have a feeling that once they come back from the Meridian, they're not going to have supplies, right? It's all going to be for nothing. They're going to have no supplies. It was literally pointless. Maybe they have some things to kind of survive, like maybe another week or something, but they're going to come back and be like, we have nothing. I have no idea what to do. And but they just return home anyways. Maybe there's discussion of, I guess we got to leave Alexandria. So we got to go back, tell them the bad news, and we're just going to leave. And it's going to look really bad, like Alexandria is finished. And then that's when the Commonwealth show up with all of their resources. And I think that's exactly where this first part ends here. It's going to look so bad. It's going to look insane. Like, after that violent storm hits Alexandria with all of the walkers, everything, like, it's going to get even more damaged. And then this whole trip to the Meridian is going to be pointless because they're going to lose a bunch of people on the way. They've already lost so many people. They're going to come back and they have nothing. So all of it is just, they're in a worse position now than when they were at the beginning of the season, right? And that's where the Commonwealth show up and can definitely fix this situation. And so that's where you get to some of the issues there with the Commonwealth. And so, that's going to be very interesting. And I think it perfectly sets up why a lot of Alexandrians and Hilltopians, or if that's how or Hilltoppers and Kingdomers and everyone, I guess they're all kind of in Alexandria right now, but it sets up why they all want to stay at the Commonwealth and why they do want their protection and their resources. But leadership like Daryl and Carol aren't going to want that because of what it means, right? They're handing over their power and lifestyle to the Commonwealth. They're going to have troops there in Alexandria. Things will be so different. People won't have the same type of freedoms. And so, you have to kind of judge whether or not it's worth it. I think to a lot of people, it's going to be worth it, but there's going to be a lot of others that don't see that. And so, as of now, it's kind of what we're waiting for, right? And it seems like that's exactly how this is all going to go. And so that's why I really wanted to do a video on this. I really wanted to talk about the rest, or the flow of the rest of the season, and what I think episode 4 set up here, because it kind of set up this big battle going to happen. I mean, we see in the synopsis here, right? The synopsis for episode 8 reads, it's For Blood, reads, the Reapers defend Meridian from an incoming herd. Pope suspects Maggie is behind the attack while Daryl treads carefully. Alexandrians scramble to protect themselves when a violent storm leaves them vulnerable to walkers. And it's just, that's going to be insane. And, like, Leah could die here. And I guess that's what I want to know from you guys. Who do you think is going to die by episode 8? Because there's going to be quite a bit of characters that die by this point, right? Do you think all the Reapers are going to die? I personally believe so. As for whether or not Leah is going to die here, I'm torn on that. We saw some stuff in episode 4 that hinted that this was her family and she was never going to leave. But there was also a side to it where she saw how crazy the Reapers were. So I'm kind of torn on what's going to happen here, right? It's possible Daryl can save Leah from this, but what happens when Daryl comes back and Connie's back, but now Daryl's back with Leah and Connie's there, and then, like, you know what I mean? That's what I really want, honestly. Like, I will be disappointed. If you're asking me what I want Leah to survive here. It would suck for her to die, and then when Daryl comes back, Connie's there, right? because we don't get that like trio thing. We don't get that love triangle thing. I really want to see that. It's been a while since we've had that on the show, and it would be kind of funny to have that with a character like Daryl, who's had no love interests at all throughout the entire series, right? So I want Leah to survive here, maybe make it scary where it seems like she could die. There's this whole thing with Pope and all that, but she makes it back, and then Connie's there, and then that's, you know, in the second part, you deal with a lot of stuff there between Connie, Leah, and Daryl, and I think that could be a lot of fun. I think then Leah could be, a lot of her flaws might start to show. And I mean, I just can't wait to see Connie back with the group. She's been missing for so long at this point. Like, it's been forever. It's been like over 2 years, hasn't it? Like, I'm talking about in terms of like real life time. It seems like, because I'm pretty sure that, oh no, actually, no, it hasn't been 2 years yet, because yeah, the pandemic happened in March. But that was supposed to happen early in 2020. Well, she went missing in early 2020. And so, yeah, that makes sense. So it's been like a year and a half, but it's been a long time. It's felt longer than that. So I'm just excited to have Connie back and just to see how all this wraps up here. So I'm really excited to see where it's going to go. I mean, obviously in episode 5, there's a lot of stuff here. Like, honestly, looking at the synopsis here, based off of how episode 4 ends, I could kind of see how everything's going to flow straight to episode 8, but there's a lot of unknowns still. Like when are we going to meet Pamela Milton and Sebastian Milton? We could, in next week's episode, for episode 5, we can easily meet them. There's a lot of things like this, so I'm definitely really excited to actually get into it. And yeah, but anyways, I'm going to leave it here. Post your thoughts down below. Hope you all enjoyed the video, and I'll see you guys in the next one.